So welcome back, Vas. We're glad to have you here with us again. Did you want to let us know what we can expect out of today's session?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to summarize the last sort of 4 or 5 webinars that we've done together for the year, just to essentially pre-frame, today's session, which is all about really having a owner's mentality, leadership, principal ownership mentality, where, just because you're not the business owner doesn't mean that you can't be a leader in property management, supporting one another, thinking like a business owner would in how you approach landlords and tenants, the experience that you're providing, and really sort of just, formulating a bit of a plan to sort of finish off the year strong, knowing that there's only a limited time before Christmas, New Year period.
Yeah, excellent. I think that's such a good point. We come to this time of the year, and it's the PM staff more than anyone, I think, have earned that break and need that break and finishing a strong year, being up to date, making sure you can go and have that break without things overhanging, I think is super important. So that's a great topic to go over. We'll dive straight into it. I'll hand it over to you, Vas. This session, as I mentioned, is recorded. So if anyone needs, please let your teams know that if they've missed today's session, we will get the recording out to them. Over to you, Vas.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And again, welcome, good morning, good afternoon, whichever part of Australia or New Zealand you're joining us from. It's a pleasure to present again the Master Series session for property management. For those that haven't participated in any of the webinars previously, I am psychotically passionate about property management, career property manager through and through, and have the pleasure and privilege of owning my own training and consulting business where I work with all businesses across Australia in helping property management be done better, and the experience better for landlords and tenants. Obviously the format hasn't changed. We've run this is our 5th webinar. The next one will be in November, and that will be our last webinar for the year. In that webinar, I'm going to give you 10 specific tips and tools that you can implement in the remaining part of the year to really set up for an amazing Christmas, New Year period. And, some tips and tricks that I have collectively learned over many years of how to best prepare for that upcoming season, and really maybe even start to formulate a bit of a jump start and springboard into 2025. I can't believe I've just said 2025. So we've covered up quite a bit over the last few webinars, and as I said, today we're going to be touching on having a principles mentality in how you approach things, delighting landlords with an amazing customer experience, but not only that, how to demonstrate more value to your landlords and equally to your tenants to ensure that they remain sticky to you, even though they might have been with you for a long period of time. As an overall summary, we kicked off the year with what any good business owner or property manager would do, and that is to really review the plan for the year, review the business, really understand what wasn't quite right last year, what could we do a little bit better for 2024, what do we need to really sit down and review, particularly when it comes to new business growth, when it comes to some of the pain points that you might have experienced, setting goals for the year, whether that was a professional goal, a personal goal, a new business growth goal, whatever those goals were, we really drilled down in how to best go about goal setting, creating a plan, and making sure that an initial review was done at the beginning so that we knew what the next 30, 60, 90 days, every 90 days looks like. Whatever roadblocks were presented, we would have equally a solution already mapped out to implement and execute. We did do a great webinar around new business and rent roll growth. And again, all of these were recorded. So if you did miss any of these webinars, please jump onto the intranet and make sure that you review and watch the recording. But we did sort of tackle the new business process, where we spoke about, before the listing, how to prepare for the listing, what diagnostic questions to ask the prospective landlord, where the lead sources would have come from, how to tap into more lead sources to generate more leads and more opportunities to grow the rent roll. We spoke about how to best present at a new business presentation, going in fully prepared to win, having all of the visual aids that you can demonstrate to an owner exactly why they should choose you, and have the proof, the social proof, the evidence in front of you, in front of the owner, to go, when I say we do a detailed condition report, here is the detailed condition report. Here is the photos that we take and why we take them this way. When I am suggesting that your property would probably track between a 600 to 650 or 670 price point, here is the evidence that I'm showing and putting forward to consider. So we really drill down into the new business process. And I equally remember in that webinar there was a toolkit that I provided as well, that gave you script and dialogue to speak to those lead sources, even an agenda that you could send to a prospective landlord to give them an understanding of what the new business appraisal or the appraisal or appointment would look like and feel like. And then I gave you a bit of a sense of, if you don't, for whatever reason, if you do not convert the opportunity, that you don't think that you've lost the opportunity, you start thinking that you have not won it yet, that at some point you will win that opportunity. You might not have won it now, you just haven't won it yet, and you continue to nurture that prospective landlord over a period of time to eventually be top of mind and potentially considered to lease and manage the property. We did a webinar with stress, conflict, communication, really drilling down into understanding how to, be aware of your energy, because energy is contagious. People can feel how good a mood you're in or bad a mood you're in, even before you say hello. I'm sure each and every single one of you have been in a moment in time where you've been at the computer and you've got your back to somebody, but you already know when they've walked in, they've not said hello or good morning, you already know that they're in a bad mood, and you turn around and of course you're greeted by that. Energy is very important, because people buy people. People buy people. You are being bought every time you have any interaction with a landlord or tenant. People know that you're stressed. People know that you love what you do. People can sense it. People can really empathically feel it. And it's really important that you have a true mastery of your energy, because it is just so important for people to feel like you actually care about what you do, you love what you do, and that you're not trying to rush them through because you've got 27 emails that you need to respond to, or you've got another phone call coming through whilst you're on the phone to them. And then we dealt with dealing with stress and disarming conflict, really truly understanding that when you're presented with a conflicting situation, that you're not aggressive, you may be assertive, but you're deconstructing what the pain point is, removing any emotion, and really trying to provide a solution to each of those pain points. Then we covered off really nicely a session around going paperless. And still to this day, there are quite a few offices where, I walk in and I see, 22 filing cabinets, lined up against a wall. And I'm all for that, because it takes me back a little bit, because that's what I was, used to when I was practicing. I'd love a good manila folder that I could staple the tenant's notice to if I got a vacate notice, and then get my checklist and staple it to that and put it on my desk desk or have it in my stacking credenza so that I could see what upcoming vacates there were. But embracing new world property management, really understanding the efficiencies and the accessibility benefits that come with going paperless, not only for your landlords and tenants, but for you as well, as being part of a team that you can collaborate and integrate beautifully, sharing a document, accessing a document wherever you are. And, look, that just speaks to a better client experience, and for a business owner, ensures that there's the ability to scale. As you grow, you can grow, very, very easily and seamlessly because everything is digitized. So with all of that being said, what I want to put forward to you is, and when I calculated it, I sort of, scratched my head and went, really? Is it only 54 business days between now and Christmas Eve? Like, I've been sitting here thinking, yeah, it's like 3 months till Christmas, or 2.5 months till Christmas. And, the reality is that there's only 54 business days between now and Christmas Eve. And so I put this forward to everyone to really take that in and absorb, and really start to think about and question, how do we maximize the next 54 days to demonstrate value to our landlord clients? And the reason why I summarized the last webinars is because all of the webinars in a successive pattern would start to play into the pillars of any sort of planning that we did at the very beginning, and becomes a cumulative effect throughout the year, where we take that one thing, we action, we implement, and we get a better result. So if for whatever reason in the last however many days before today, with only 54 days remaining, that you for whatever reason were really consumed working in the business, not working on the business, in terms of the property management team or the property management department, I want to put forward to you, if there could be only one thing that you want to make better in your property management department, what would it be? And that one thing could very well be the thing that changes everything, pivots everything, as we close off 2024 going into 2025. So it might be that, this year we didn't get to sit down and review our processes. We didn't get to pull apart the vacate process. We didn't get to pull apart the lease renewal process. We didn't get to speak to our landlords and tenants and truly find out what they think and feel about the customer service experience that we provide. And if that was that one thing that you didn't get to do, maybe now might be the time, and allocate the time. Maybe instead of having a weekly property management meeting, you have a fortnightly property management meeting, and in one of the other alternative days, you have a workshop where for 1 hour you go, okay, that one thing that we really wanted to work on, let's all get together like we were having a property management meeting, but let's not discuss anything to do with property management in terms of KPIs or arrears or how many tenants are vacating or anything like that. Let's all collectively put our heads together and really pull apart that one thing and put it back together again to make it better. And it's now's the time, because if it's not now, when? It's all very well and good to say, oh yeah, look, the year's almost over, we'll tackle it in 2025. No, let's tackle it now, because if anything, that one thing that you want to make better, and if you don't tackle it now, it's going to just grow and grow, and it will be a bigger thing to tackle if we don't get ahead of it now. So look at one thing that you could possibly workshop as a team to make better in the remaining 54 business days as we close off 2025. The one thing I want to put forward to you is leadership and thinking like a business owner. And why I say this is because, it's easy to say, well, I don't own the business. I just come to work, I do my job, and I go home and I spend time with my family. But the one thing around that is that in actual fact, you've got a principle of your business. You know, every business owner is typically called a principal. And I want to put forward to you that each and every single one of you, whether you're a property manager, a leasing consultant, a BDM, a senior property manager, the receptionist even, whatever role you play in the property management business, you are a principal, because you have a choice in how you perceive things and how you see other people's perspectives, and that in itself will change the dynamic of how you communicate and provide a customer experience to both your landlord and tenant, because all of a sudden your perspective is, I'm the business owner. If I own the business, how would I want to handle this situation, versus I'm not the business owner and I'm just doing my job. It's a very different proposition. The next thing I want to put forward to you is that leadership is the awesome responsibility to see those around us rise. Leadership does not only, and is not isolated only to a business owner. Because you're now thinking like a business owner, leadership is on you. Leadership is on you to see the other people that you sit alongside, people that make your team. You want to see them rise as well. You want them to be better, and equally, in turn, they'll want to see you be better. So I really want you to have a bit of a Control Alt Delete moment. You know, for those that are children of the 80s, growing up with Windows 95 and Windows 98, you would remember Control Alt Delete to do a reset and reboot. Almost have a reset and reboot in your mindset around really seeing your role now in the business, not just as the senior property manager or the BDM, but someone that has the responsibility to see those around you rise. Your perspective on things will change. The way you communicate will change. How you approach things, how you speak to people, how you present to people will change. And it's a very, very, very interesting paradigm to be in, rather than I'm just an employee, I get paid, I go home. Speaking of perspective and perception and perspective, I really want to define this for you, because sometimes the lines can get blurred between the two. This beautiful beach ball, and I can't wait to blow mine up and go to the beach very, very soon. It's starting to warm up, and I'm hoping it's warming up whichever state you're in. You know, summer's around the corner. Thank you. But this beach ball, every beach ball has a specific amount of colors, and on either side of the beach ball will be 4 different colors to the other side of the beach ball. When you're holding the beach ball, on my side, there's 4 colors, and on your side, if you're standing on the other side of the beach ball, there's 4 colors. I can't see your 4 colors. You can't see my 4 colors if we're standing face to face, but it's the same beach ball. Now, to define this a little bit more now with the beach ball analogy, perception is what you believe to be true about the world around you. So I'll say that again. Perception is what you believe to be true about the world around you. Perspective is what others believe to be true about the world around them. Now, think about this. Think about the role that you play in the business. As a property manager, what do you think the perception is of you as a property manager when it comes to dealing with a repair that a tenant has lodged? So they've issued a repair request to you. What do you think the perception is of the tenant about you, the property manager, versus your perspective, which is you're being diligent in receiving the work or the repair request. You've probably contacted the owner. You've probably done all the things that you needed to do, but the perception might be that, oh, I sent them an email at 9 o'clock. I haven't got a response, and it's now 2 o'clock. They don't communicate. But from your perspective, you've been contacting the owner, you've been organising a quote, you've organised a plumber to go out there. That's your perspective. Another real life example I want to give you is, I'm really proud to say that in the last 2.5 years, as a personal example to share with you, in the last 2.5 years, I have been on a weight loss journey, and I've lost now 61.2 kilos, right? Now, I'm not saying that for anything other than to give you a really good understanding of perception and perspective. So perception is what you believe to be true about the world around you. So my perception is that I go to the gym every day. I train hard. I watch what I eat. I'm eating cleanly. I'm seeing myself go from a 6XL down to an XL t-shirt. That's my perception. Perspective is me walking into a retail clothing store, and the perspective of the employee is, hey, mate, you're a big boy. You probably need a triple XL t-shirt. Now, from my perception is, no, I don't. I may appear to be still look like a big boy, but your perspective and perception is very, 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 very critical and interesting. So I'm putting this forward to you as a bit of a business model and mindset to have when you now approach landlords and tenants. Think about what others believe to be true about the world around them, and have the foresight and the fortitude to really be aware of what the perception is of that other person and what the perspective is from your point of view. Really understand, and really then ask questions to help understand what that perspective is. It might get you a better answer. It might get you a better outcome, because you're truly understanding the perception perspective analogy. Speaking of perception and perspective, I created a little video, and I'm hoping that this video is received well through the webinar, because obviously it's being done through the internet. But I really want to show you this video. I decided to create a bit of a perception perspective video on what property managers do on the daily. So let me play this for you.
Is there supposed to be sound, Vas, as I can't hear anything?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So there's
on the subtitles.
no sound. Oh, okay. Yeah, there is sound. Yeah. Maybe because it's through the web. Sorry. If there's no sound, we'll skip it. But essentially, in this scene, the property manager says, of course I'm a property manager. I embrace technology, but I still love writing everything on a whiteboard. Then the next scene is the leasing consultant saying, of course I'm a property manager. I love processing 35 applications first thing on a Monday morning. The next scene is a great property manager where he talks about, and he says, of course I'm a property manager. I love replying to 25 emails in 60 seconds. The next property manager, he says, of course I'm a property manager. I always play music and pump it up on the way to a market appraisal. And then this one here basically says, of course I'm a property manager. I can do 26 things at once. And she's on the phone speaking to a landlord while she's replying to an email. She gets a phone call on the mobile phone, and then she goes to her assistant, have you issued that work order? So yeah, it was basically a perception perspective, what people think we do versus what it is that we actually do. I will send obviously the video through slides. But yeah, it's a good little piece on what we do and what we understand our world to be versus what the perception of a landlord or tenant might be. So moving on, I guess I really want to touch on, with all of that being said, with all of us now really truly understanding, having a business owner mentality, having leadership as something that we really embrace and own, and we, support and see others rise in the business and really approach it in that way. If we were to, potentially look at one of those things that we might look at doing in the next 54 days, is to really get some awareness and really put in place some, uniform and consistent, practices, because obviously that just ensures that, everyone across the board is going to have a better experience. It's obviously going to streamline things, and, it really just solidifies the trust and credibility that you have with your clients. So what I mean by that is, if one of those things that you could look at doing in the next 54 days is your processes, is your software, is your communication touch points in every one of those processes, refining them, maybe innovating them, maybe look at the software that you're using. Are you using the software to its fullest capability and potential? I see a lot of property managers using software because the business has the software, but they're probably using only 40 or 50% of what the software can do and not realizing that it has other capabilities. So, it's really at this point that we look at all of what we are and how we are and why we are as a property management business moving forward, and really sort of identifying and putting a bit of a microscope over a few things, magnifying glass over a few things to bring to the surface, workshop, pull apart, put back together again, and make it better. Processes is a massive underpin for a property management business. Every property manager loves a good process. Now might be the time to really pull it apart and work on it, because we haven't had the opportunity to do that, being busy, whatever the case may have been. Maybe the opportunity now is to go, you know what? I don't really know a lot about Property Me, or I want to now utilize the workflow function that Property Me has, where we can digitize the processes within Property Me. Let's workshop that. Let's put that in place. Let's actually start utilizing some of the functions that come with that software. And again, all of that leads to, better higher client satisfaction. You as a team feel better because you're working more efficiently. There's greater visibility over what's actually being done in the business, because everyone can see. It just basically shines the light to the journey of success. Delighting landlords, rental providers, owners, depending on what state you're in. But I really put forward to a lot of property managers to really start thinking about some of the key differentials, those value points that we can do a little bit differently, because most property management businesses, they're very similar. They're probably doing the same thing. Everyone's got a landlord handbook, or, everyone's got a tenant handbook maybe. But let's take it up a notch. Let's innovate it. Maybe, just maybe, let's do a video that actually sends to the landlord, and the video is personalized, and it can be personalized. When I say personalized, you as the property manager fronts the video and speaks to the experience that a new landlord or a current landlord might get as you're applying a process to the property that you manage. I'll give you an example of that shortly. But value proposition, I put this forward to you as a question. If the landlord has a great tenant, no repairs, pays rent on time, then why wouldn't the landlord self-manage? And this is the reality of perception versus perspective. We have to make the invisible visible. Whatever we do that is invisible, where owners don't really understand, we've got to get them to understand what it is that we do to really drive value. Classic example of this is most owners have no idea why we charge $145, $99, $88, $77, whatever that dollar per hour amount is to attend tribunal or court. They have no idea what that looks like. They have no idea that we've got to photocopy 3 copies of every document, that we've got to prepare a timeline from start to finish, that we've got to take folders for the member, we've got to take a copy for the tenant, we've got to take a copy for us, that we've got to put so much time and effort in. That invisibility of what that looks like, most owners do not have any, they can't quantify it, because we don't educate the owner around what that process is. We don't really show what the value proposition is. It's easy to say, I go to tribunal and I always win, or I go to tribunal and I'm always organized and prepared, but they don't understand what that means and looks like, and the effort that goes into. And that could be the very difference between a great property manager and a good property manager, making the invisible visible, onboarding your clients and how to do things and what they can be, what they can come to expect by having you as their property manager, managing their biggest asset. So most owners work so hard to save that 10% deposit, really giving an understanding of why, that they've made the decision to put the property in your hands, but why it was the best decision and what they can come to expect from the moment they sign that authority all the way through to the ongoing journey of the tenancy. Maybe, just maybe, it's a video. Maybe, just maybe, it's a little bit more than, thank you so much for signing the managing agency agreement. Please find attached a copy of it. We look forward to finding you a tenant. We'll be in touch. That's same. It's time to be different. It might be that as you sign up the owner, you're sending a video. I'm going to show you an example of a video that you can send, but it will be a video that you send and it will say, hi, thank you so much for joining us here at Century 21. We are so excited to have the privilege and honor of managing your biggest asset, your investment property. What you can come to expect now that you've signed with Century 21 is the first thing that we will do is prepare the property for the market. What that might look like is, I've got some script and dialogue that I'm happy to share to help with this. Equally, if I'm being a little bit cheeky, ChatGPT can help you with this amazingly well. And I can give you the prompts to ask ChatGPT to make it very custom for whatever process that you're wanting to introduce the landlord to, if you are wanting to create a video. Having deeper conversations with your landlord. I have to tell you, and I'm excluding everyone on this webinar right now. Everyone in this webinar right now, I'm excluding. I have met a number of property managers, and when I have asked them, what impact does interest rates, or do interest rates have for a landlord when it comes to their investment property? Some property managers do not even know what interest rates are, what the interest rate is, and how it affects a mortgage repayment. Some property managers don't even know what negative gearing is about. And so, excluding all of you, because I know that you're all at a different level, but what I'm trying to say is, have the owner feel like you know what it feels like to be an owner, so that they know that you understand whatever pain point they might be going through, that you can provide a strategy to move forward and get an outcome for them. And there might be 1 or 2 or 3 strategies in that point of view, but it's a deeper understanding. I don't want you as property managers to be task managers. Repair request comes in, authority please from owner, email goes out, owner approves, work order goes out, invoice comes back in, job done, move on to the next thing. That's task management. You are property investment managers. You've got to have better conversations with owners. Maybe, just maybe, I get asked all the time, Vas, you talk about good news calls. Good news calls has been around for a long time. We've spoken about good news calls at least for the last 15 to 20 years. What would be an example of a good news call? A good news call might be calling the owner about something that they are not expecting you to call about as a property manager. How many times have you called an owner that goes, "Hi, Vas, what's wrong now?" versus, "Hi, it's Vas. I'm calling to let you know that we've been managing your investment property for a little while now. Our number one sales agent in our office has sold an investment property around the corner has sold a property around the corner from your investment property. It might just be that the value of your property has changed. That could very well mean that there might be some equity there potentially to purchase another one. Do you want an updated understanding of where your property sits in the market from a sales point of view?" Now, I'm not suggesting that you do this because we want to sell off our rent roll. No, but it's a different type of touch point. It's a different play. If you've got a true investor, any investor that has a property is going to want to know how the investment is growing, how the investment is appreciating, how the investment is overall. So it's just having different conversations. It's not all about, "Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Owner, we've got a problem. I've got to get a plumber out there." Because you know what? Most owners expect that from you. I'm now saying to you, make phone calls to really demonstrate your value. Make phone calls where those phone calls are about things that the owner is not expecting to hear about from you. And again, it will change the dynamic of the relationship. I've created this video, and the audio isn't really required. It's more about me just sort of giving you an understanding that every single one of you can download a plugin into your web browser, whether you're using Loom, whether you use Go Vidyard. They're two that I like. So it's Loom, LOOM, and Go Vidyard. But, as an example of what you can create and send to an owner as part of that onboarding journey as they come on, is how to use the portal. Most of the Century 21 businesses are either using Property Tree, Property Me, or a cloud-based system that offers a landlord and or tenant portal. So why not create a little video where, it actually educates them on how to use the portal? I get so many property managers that go, "Oh, none of my owners use the portal." Well, I wonder why, because you've just sent them an email that says, "Hi, we've got a portal," but you've not actually given them the benefits and the understandings of what is contained in the portal, that they can actually see their tenancy documents, that they actually see where the tenant's paid to. They can actually see what work orders there might be. They can actually see what routine inspection report just recently happened. So, you can screen record yourself, screen record the actual program, and really give the owner a step-by-step guide to utilizing what should be a point of difference as to why they've chosen you in the first place. Video is the number one education tool on the planet. You've only got to look at TikTok. You've only got to look at YouTube. They are the number one platforms for education. And we as professionals in the property management industry need to do things differently. We can't rely on email. We have to give a visual and give them the almost like the shining light to what we're wanting them to do. We can't sit back and complain anymore and go, "Oh, my landlord's never log on to the portal." No, let's start being proactive around it and give them a true understanding on how to use that. But you can do that for anything. You can do that for absolutely anything. It might be that you create a video for a tenant and send it to a tenant before you do a routine inspection, and it could just be your face at your desk saying, "Hi, it's Vas from Century 21. at some point you'll be receiving a notice of entry for me to come and do a visit on the property. The reasons why we do this is to really give the owner an understanding of any repairs and maintenance that might be required, but also giving you an opportunity to give us insights into how you're enjoying living in the property and what we could do to potentially make the experience a little bit better. So on the time that you get a notice, it will give you a time between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. The reason why we've given a 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. time frame is because we geo-focus all of our properties for that area and lock them in 20-minute intervals. So if for whatever, like, you can really utilize video to educate the tenant and the owner on anything you'd want. I'd love to suggest this as maybe what you do one video for one process for a landlord and do one video for one process for a tenant. I guarantee the response and the way your tenant or landlord is going to react to it will be very pleasing, and it will be change of game. It will be a game changer for you if you've not embraced video previously when it comes to educating and providing insights into what we do, how we do it, but more so why we do it this way. Is that working? I think I've lost the, sorry guys, I'm having a bit of a technical difficulty. Stand by, please. View, reading view. Okay, perfect. And I'll just now share the screen. Okay, can everyone see the screen? Thumbs up. Yep, excellent. Okay, so enhancing the tenant experience. Again, you know, really communication is key, but doing things a little bit differently. One of my best friends is literally going through the renting experience right now. The amount of applications he's put in or the amount of properties he's gone and seen, the amount of non-responsive SMSs that he has sent where he's got no reply from the leasing agent, the amount of phone call, voicemails he's left, no reply, nothing like that. It's not hard to be better, guys. It is not hard to be better. Doing some of the basic things that you would think are just so basic and standard could very well set you apart, you know? So it's not hard to be better. We've just got to be consistent around keeping it simple, keeping it basic, and doing those things amazingly well. You know, don't think that because you had 5 groups at an open that you're going to get 5 applications, because in some instances you don't, or you do get 3 or 4 and you don't then bother calling the 2 that didn't apply to give them an understanding of what your customer experience is going to look like. One of those 2 tenants could very well be an owner of an investment property. One of those 2 tenants could very well be someone that is looking to buy an investment property. One of those 2 tenants could very well choose to rent through you over anyone else because of the fact that you have provided a better experience and they're not even a tenant yet, which will help you on the back end when you've got a property for lease and you'll lease it quicker. Keep everyone informed, have touch points. Again, as I suggested with owner, have an onboarding program for your tenant. Make sure that when they sign the lease, and they're probably doing that digitally, they are coming into the office to pick up keys. Do not do what I see a lot of property managers do and go, "Hi, how are you? You here to pick up keys? No problem. Here are the keys. Happy moving day. Thanks. Bye." Take the time to say to a prospective tenant that's about to be your customer, let me walk you through exactly what you're going to get as an experience, as a customer of Century 21, what this will look like for you in the tenancy cycle, how we want you to interact with us, how we want you to report repairs. Let's download the app for the software that we use. Let's log in. Let me show you what that looks like. Let me show you how to report a repair. Let me show you how to see your tenant ledger. Let me show you where your paid to date is, so that you know if I SMS or call you about rent, you can see exactly where you're up to within the portal. Take the time to take them through exactly what that will look like. Don't leave it to chance and then, complain about the fact that the tenant always phone calls you when they want to lodge a repair, when they should email you or lodge it through the system. Take the time to set it up from the get-go and you'll have a better experience. And don't forget also, as we start to do things better and we make these changes in the business, we've got to measure. We've got to really take measurement of whether what we're putting in play is actually, giving us a better outcome, or have things, changed where, we might be doing things a little bit slower because we thought by refining the process, it was going to make it more efficient, but in actual fact, it's creating a roadblock somewhere. So, let's not forget to really sit down and measure the success. Measure exactly what the weekly, daily, weekly, quarterly metrics need to be in the business. Really understand, the frequency and speed. Again, as I said, one of my best friend right now is going through a renting experience. He submitted an application on Monday and didn't get an answer until Friday. And on Friday, when he got the answer, he wasn't even approved. So for a good 4 to 5 business days, either the way in which the application was processed was very laggy, or they just didn't have the urgency to process the application and get the property and the deal over the line. But to understand, how long should an ingoing inspection take for a 1-bedroom, for a 2-bedroom, for a 3-bedroom house, for a 2-bedroom apartment? Because if we want to then create any sort of time management system or ideal weeks, I know that's a dirty word in property management, ideal week. Nah, doesn't exist. Yes, it does. Maybe, I don't know, could, yes. If we're going to be organized around how we place our tasks in time slots, we've got to know how long things actually take to complete, so that we then know how to, create procedure and policy and a customer experience around that. Conversion, when we get applications, how long does it actually take us to get an application received to essentially a holding deposit or an approval with tenancy? How do we actually get a sense from our landlords and tenants that they really love what it is that we do? Are we surveying them? Are we going out with a feedback form? Are we getting them to, are we sending an SMS asking for a Google review? But we've got to go to the source of the people having the experience with us. It's all very well and good to think that we're doing a great job. Well done. Let's get it from the people that are actually interacting with us, because they have the power to do a lot of this, which will then in turn lead to referral, and it will lead to, to growth and better success. Equally, when they do this, if they're not doing things, if they're not saying things that are, more in line with a positive experience, that could also have the potential of, swaying people away. So, it's really important that we get a good sense on how to measure customer experience, measure the speed in which we're doing things, measure the revenue that we're creating on properties. What does break even look like? I've got some property managers that go, Vas, I've got an owner. They really want me to do it at 3.2%. Should I do it? I really want the property. It's great, but they want me to do it at 3.2. I'm here to tell you, at 3.2%, no one is making money. No one is revenue generating. And, as much as I want to say, yes, sign up the listing because it's another property, and some business owners are for this, but, you'd want to make it, a return on the time that you're going to put in that. There needs to be some return for you and some return for the business. And it's not your fault that an owner can't see value if you've demonstrated it. they just might not be the right owner for you and for the business. Keep really true and hold sacrosanct your value. Don't let anyone diminish it. Don't cheapskate the value because you just want the listing. Not all business is good business, to use that phrase. Keep true to what you want to charge. Don't feel like you have to discount fee for the sake of signing up a listing. Really keep true to it. And leadership around the way in which we continue to professionally develop. How do we measure that? Our energy and output. Obviously, we touched on that in one of the sessions. And truly being accessible to not only your clients but to the people around you and supporting them. Support is not hearing a property manager that's in your team where they start potentially, giving feedback about a tenant that constantly, is on the email and on the phone, and then feeding into that, because misery loves company, right? So support is giving the property manager that might be, frustrated with something, giving them the 30 seconds that they need, and really sort of giving them an understanding of, the way that you handled that was spot on. Let's not worry about how the tenant is and how the emotion around that. Just know what you did. You followed process. You spoke well. You gave a good, you gave good energy as you spoke. Let's move on. Like, nip it in the bud, because that type of stuff can fester. So yeah, I think, overall, to really sort of sum up for me, I want to leave you with a bit of a quote on the back of, the fact that we start thinking differently. We have perception and perspective awareness when it comes to our landlords and tenants and how we see the world and how they may see our world. And success in property management isn't just about following the rules. Yes, we've got legislation that underpins a lot of what we do, but it's about breaking free from the ordinary, seeing beyond the status quo, doing things differently, having the courage to try, just to simply try to do things differently, and when we elevate and we look at things a little bit differently and we elevate the way in which we see things and help other people see our value, then it's not just about managing property, it's about being exceptional. And that's what my goal in property management for all property managers is to be truly better. Just be better, be better, be better. I don't want the best, I want better. Be better, because being better means that you're constantly evolving every day. Being the best means I'm done, and no one's done if we want to see and have a growth and successful mindset. So guys, I'm hoping that for this session, with regards to, thinking more about leadership, accountability, a little bit about pulling apart your processes, working on them, just picking maybe one thing. Don't try to change the world all at once. Maybe just one thing, tackle that, innovate it. Maybe create a video, as I said, for that process. I promise you things will be amazing as we get closer and closer to the end of the year and set us up for an amazing 2025. So thank you.
Thank you, Vas. That was wonderful. I really liked your point about, getting the owners and the investors to see what we do for our fee, and making sure that they don't think that, they can just manage the property themselves and the tenancy is easy going. So, there's not much that we're doing. There's a lot we do behind the scenes, and it's so important that they see that. I think with cost of living and everything at the moment, there are a lot of investors going, well, can I save money here? And what does my property manager actually do for me? So it's a really important time to make sure that they do know exactly what we do behind the scenes, not just when there's a problem.
Totally. Exactly right. Spot on.
Some great points. Thanks again for another session.
My
we look
pleasure.
forward to joining you again soon.
Very soon in November. Yep.
Fantastic. Thanks,
Have
everybody.
a good day, everyone. See ya.